setting goals, or just someone who wants to make a resolution for the first time? This morning on The Breakfast Club, we're talking about New Year's resolutions. As we step into the fresh year, so many of us find ourselves making promises. The most common one is often just to be healthy, to hit the gym. Others say they want to save more money, finally start that book you've been talking about for all this time. But have you ever wondered where this tradition of making New Year's resolutions comes from? We thought today, as we discuss how to make a resolution, we should also tell you where it comes from. This practice is actually one that started 4,000 years ago with the Babylonians.
Now for them, the New Year wasn't just in January, remember, it was in mid-March, marking the start of the harvest season. Now during the 12-day festival called Akitu, they planted crops, they crowned kings and made promises to repay debts. Their belief was really to keep these promises, ensuring favors from gods in the year ahead. So it was sort of a resolution to themselves and also to the Almighty. Now the Romans later adopted that idea, trying their New Year resolution pledges to the god Janus. Now the deity with two faces, if you'll remember, symbolizing the transition from past to the future.
Alright, so different cultures have come together to commemorate this day. January was named after Janus, and it became a time for reflection, sacrifices and promises for a better year. Imagine spending an entire month doing that. By 46 BC, Julius Caesar's Julian calendar cemented Jan 1st as the start of the year for parts of the world. And over time, that practice actually evolved. So by the Middle Ages, knights took New Year oaths to renew their vows of chivalry.
In modern times, however, resolutions are less about pleasing gods or rulers and more about personal betterment, right? We want to talk about health, about productivity, happiness, calmness as well. And now here we are, approaching January 1st, 2025, very, very soon, with millions of people pledging to lose weight, or if you are really in sync with time, saying, let's stop doom scrolling in this year. But here's the catch really, most resolutions fall because they're either too big or too vague or just not what we truly care about. So let's talk about intention, habit hacks and how to stop ghosting your goals by February.
Wow, I am so excited for this episode just to know what I can do to actually make those changes. Our guest today is Ashdin Doctor. He himself is known as the habit coach, and he actually hosts a podcast in which he breaks down the science of keeping habits together. It's had multiple episodes with different kinds of guests, experts, and all they do is break down the science of making a habit and keeping a habit. So Ashdin, thank you so much for joining us here on the show. We thought New Year's, perfect occasion to have you. So we're going to get into it with you. Just ask you everything there is to know about how to make a habit, how to keep a habit. So tell us first, Ashdin, most people, their resolution, and this is probably a lot of our viewers watching right now, their resolution is probably, I want to be healthier this year. Is that the wrong resolution? Is that not how you should even approach keeping resolutions and building habits? Should you be firmer in even in your mission statement?
I love it. I love the ghosting of your goals. That was the best, alliteration there. So the way that I would think about it is when you say, I want to be healthy, you're not creating a clear definition of what health means to you. So health means different things to all three of us. For somebody, health might just mean being able to climb upstairs. For others, it might be doing muscle ups and pull ups. So it's the definition of health is very important. So creating that clear definition is where we start off with. But the big problem is people have vague goals, just like what you said. Healthy is a vague goal. It doesn't mean anything unless you distill it down to the actual actions that you're going to be taking, which is where habits come in. So when I started the Habit Coach podcast 7-8 years ago, I started talking about resolutions, and I realized that people stopped resolutions within the first, I think it was 2 weeks of starting. And they did exactly what you said. They would write down the resolutions and never look at them. They were ghosted. They had completely lost them. So instead what we did was we said, what are the little habits and what are the systems and processes you're going to put in place so that you can start making that change. It can be something as small as just replacing the sugar that is there next to your coffee machine with a bottle of stevia, for example. Just that little swap can also be a start to a resolution.
I see. So, Ashwin, lots of questions, but let me start by this. What are people doing wrong with setting out the right intention? I think intention is the first step, right? You have an intention, you translate that into a goal, then you sort of map out a game plan on how to achieve that goal. So, in that first step of having the right intention, what are we getting wrong?
The biggest thing that we make as a mistake is that we look at other people's goals and other people's progress, and then we want to upnow that. We want to take that on as our own goals.
Yeah.
So I remember a friend of mine coming to me and saying, Ashton, I'm going to start running the marathon. It's January, everyone's going to start this whole marathon season and it's going to begin. And they're like, I want to start running the marathon. I was like, fantastic. Why do you want to do it? Because my neighbor is doing it. I was like, okay, so we're going to run together. It's going to be fun. It's going to be cute in the morning. That's not a good way of starting a resolution, right? It is somebody else's goal that you've taken on, and guess what? She ran exactly twice with that friend and then it went kaput because her intention wasn't very clear. And the way that we get to a clear intention is by peeling away the layers at why we want to do something. So there's a very simple technique. It's called the 3 why technique. So we ask ourselves why 3 times. All right, so I've given you, for example, an intention that didn't work. Let me give you an intention that did work. It's an example from one of my books. A client of mine wanted to start yoga. So I was like, okay, fantastic. Why do you want to start yoga? So become more flexible. So now she's told me flexibility. So I said, all right, why do you want to become more flexible? I want to become more flexible so that I can sit on the floor. Fantastic. Why do you want to sit on the floor? So that I can play with my child. She just had a child and she was too unfit. Her knees were not able to make her sit on the floor. And she
Very
equated being a good mother with the yoga practice. And that was so powerful that obviously she maintained that practice when it started. So that is the way to start thinking about intention. What is that one particular thing that hits home that I can take forward?
That's so beautiful. Yeah. Ashton, can you just bring up now for us some of the science? I ask you that because every year it feels like there are different studies that are contradictory. One set of studies I know a few years ago said that it takes 30 days of doing something for it to become a habit. A different study said 60 days. I've seen another that said 120 days.
There's another one with 21 days.
Yeah, there we
the
go.
Smoking habit. Yeah.
So break down for us what the science is here, and also tell us, do you just have to set one intention? Can you make 2 promises? Is that already breaking the science there? Tell us more.
I love it. So one intention per habit. So I don't think you should have more intentions per habit because one intention should be strong enough. If you don't have a strong enough intention, don't do that habit. Just let it go. There are enough other things to do that can occupy your time and help you evolve in life. With regards to the number of days that it takes, it's an absolute mess. Everyone talks about 21 days. 21 days started from a book called Psycho-Cybernetics, which spoke about not habit formation, but actually amputees and how long it takes for that arm to be, the ghost limb syndrome to go away. So it has nothing to do with habits. And that 21 days just sounds like such a good number that it caught on.
It's a sexy number,
right?
Yeah.
It's a very cool number. It's also my birthday, so it's like very cool. The way that I tell, clients and people that I speak to, don't be in a hurry to form a habit because you want a habit for the rest of your life. So why are you in such a hurry for saying that now this habit has formed? Instead, grow with your habit. So you mentioned reading as a habit. And people keep telling me, Ashton, why do you write so many books? Nobody reads anymore. So I'm on a mission to get people to read as well. And one of the things I've realized is that as soon as people say, now I've got the habit of reading, the next month onwards, the reading habit drops away. Because in their mind, the tick mark was just to reach that 30-day goal or that 35-day goal or that 60-day goal. But it wasn't to continue reading for the rest of their life. So what I tell people is instead of saying, this is my habit and this is where I will see as a cutoff point, grow with that habit. Allow yourself to evolve. You're reading 5 pages, now start reading 1 chapter. You're reading 1 chapter, read 2 chapters. As you evolve the habit, you are getting stronger and the habit is getting stronger. So think of a habit as for the rest of your life, not 21 days.
Yeah, and can I add an anecdote there? I think what helps with reading or particularly for the example is that even if you're not reading days, you don't feel like it, just keep the book open. Just let that be a ritual, just sit with it nonetheless. Same with meditation, how we spoke about the other day. If you're not feeling it, just still do it. Just get on the mat and still have your moment. Which brings me to Ashton, is this, so much talk about the starting of the new year being sort of a rejig of sorts, or sort of a time that you actually instill new habits? Is there a right time to do it, or do you say every day is a new day, every day is the right opportunity?
I think the 1st of Jan gives everyone an anchoring point. So, there's a community feeling, all gyms are full. The key aspect is that you also come out of a month of debauchery, right? You've been, you've let loose on everything.
Yeah.
You've let loose on work, you've let loose on your health, you've let loose on all your goals. And now you're like coming back with a vengeance. So what I tell people is, instead of waiting for the 1st of Jan to come every year, think of either two other options. One is, the 1st of every month can be a great way of setting an intention. So 1st of Jan, I might work on my finances. 1st of Feb, I might work on my health. 1st of March, I might work. So that's another way of thinking about starting habits and intentions. So instead of yearly resolutions, have monthly resolutions. If you're somebody who likes lunar cycles, a great way of doing this is using the new moon as a start of because you're 28 days, you have a great form of creating a goal and a habit and a clear intention. So as the moon grows, your habit grows, and as the moon wanes, you're setting that habit in stone. So I like to look at these kinds of anchor points to create these resolutions, because I think as human beings we require those anchor points to say, today I begin, which is why all diets start on Monday, right?
But Ashton, can I ask you a sort of tricky counter question? The issue with having multiple starting points is also then that one fails, one then tells themselves, okay, I'll start next Monday. When you have a day where you've gone off, you tell yourself, theek hai, it's okay. Sometimes I do this thing where I look at the calendar, I go, okay, tomorrow's an even day. Sounds like a good day to start. So we have all sorts of silly ways, unfortunately, to make it okay to be gentle with ourselves. And that's what I wanted to ask you. A lot of this is about gentle versus harsh, discipline. A lot of people will say, make a disciplined regimental routine, describe the changes you need, and that's how you make it happen. But the reality of life is tricky, and often our goals get left on the wayside. So what's the mindset that needs to accompany this?
So this is why I created the 3 golden rules of habit change. May I take you through them?
Yes.
So the first golden rule is, make it stupidly small. All right. What is this goal? The idea of the habit is, what is the action that you're going to take? Make it so small that you feel stupid not doing it. So for example, the yoga habit that we were speaking about earlier with the intention, the yoga habit is not doing a half an hour yoga session or a 1 hour yoga session. The stupidly small habit is just rolling your mat out and sitting on it. Because once you sit on it, you might do a few Surya Namaskars, you might do a little stretching, which would not have happened if you said, I don't have 1 hour today, I will do it tomorrow. So make it stupidly small, at least get the repetitions in. Like you were saying, get the repetitions in, do whatever the smallest action is possible. So that's the first golden rule of habit change. The second golden rule of habit change is, make it extremely easy. This means you remove all friction. Anytime you have an excuse popping up, it means that there is friction. And we are all masters of excuses, right? Like I've had people not go out for a run because they didn't have matching socks. So, the socks didn't match my top, so I couldn't go for a run, Ashton.
No, mine is a way of, staying
my
in inertia.
God, we are excuse experts, right? So the whole thing is that, how do we remove the excuses from our life? That is where extremely easy comes in. So imagine that yoga mat I had to keep in a cupboard rolled up. There's inertia to open it. But imagine if I just kept it right next to the place where I'm going to do my workout. I'm just going to open it up and I'm going to sit on it. So the inertia has been removed. So that is, make it extremely easy. And the third golden rule of habit change, which is what you were asking, is how do you stay consistent at something?
Yeah.
And consistency boils down to being human with yourself. We are not robots, right? And we don't have to do something 21 days in a row for it to stick, because that is putting too much pressure on ourselves. We are human beings, life comes in the way. Never miss 2 days in a row is the third golden rule of habit change, which means you did something on Monday, you did something on Tuesday, on Wednesday, life happened. You felt sick, your child felt sick, you had to go for a wedding, you couldn't continue with your diet or whatever it was that your goal is. No problem. But make sure on Thursday you do that stupidly small habit at least. In that way, you're continuing the consistency of that habit, and that way you never fail. like you said, otherwise we get into the excuse of I'll start next week. Arey, Tuesday I failed, I'll start next week. It's because we're too harsh on ourselves. Let's use empathy. Let's talk to ourselves the way that we talk to our best friends, soothe ourselves and say, no problem, tomorrow I will start this again. And falling off the wagon, failing is a part of creating habits. So we have to become very, very comfortable with that. I fail all the time, but I learn from that failure.
I see. No 2 days. I think, and also the gap shouldn't be longer than the practice itself. And I think that's when the whole purpose also gets defeated. Ashtin, you take a lot of coaching, right? You do a lot of workshops with people to sort of get into habit formation. Can you share with us some really weird situations that people have shared with you on why they couldn't fall through or, follow through on a habit, and what has been your solution to it?
I'm telling you, there are strange ones that come up. And the key aspect is that each person's excuse is valid in their mind. So while they are strange, like I was mentioning, my socks didn't match my top, which is a strange one, but it was actually a real valid excuse for somebody. The most common ones are my environment is not conducive. So Ashtin, I cannot get rid of sugar in my house because my child needs it, my father needs it, this person needs it. So we use the environment as an excuse. So what I tell people is, whatever you can control as much as possible. For example, all mothers, they buy 2 chocolates whenever they go to the shop. One for the child, one for themselves. You don't need to buy that second chocolate. Many times mothers go to the shop to buy that chocolate for the child only so that they can eat it.
Don't buy at all, I would say. Keep them away from
Correct.
sugar.
Keep them away from sugar. So the whole thing is that we create these little excuses and these little tricks that we play with ourselves. The thing that I tell people is, write down these excuses and ask yourself, is there any truth to this? And if there's no truth to it, cancel it. Right? Whatever you can do, outsource your systems. Another great thing is that we are lucky that we live in a country where we have people cooking for us sometimes. We have people, So outsource your systems to them. If you're forgetting to take your supplements every day, outsource a system to them to make sure that the supplement comes along with your lunch. So in that way, you're creating systems where you don't need to put your energy into them. They're all automatically a part of your life.
We've had so many takeaways today. Ashton, we'll leave you with one last question. Sonal, what's your resolution? Do you know what you have planned?
I don't know. Can I
make
it official? Yeah, if I say it on TV, I'll have to do it. So that's the deal. No, to meditate more this year, to find time for myself outside of being a journalist, of being a wife, of being a mom, of being a daughter. Just time with me.
Mine is to be healthier. So it's a different end of what we've talked about. I want to actually stick to, when I say I'm going to be healthy, there's one day that's really emotional and you end up, junk eating and it takes everything off track. Ashton, the reason we just discussed that is because I want to come and ask you, this last year, what was a habit you built?
Yeah.
And how did you actually keep it?
So mine was actually the meditation part.
Oh, wow, similar.
So what I started doing was I started meditating every morning. And I put my money where my mouth is, and I said every morning at 6 a.m. I'm going to do a Zoom call with whoever wants to meditate with me. And we had 30, 40 people joining every morning and doing meditation together. And what that did was that gave me a clear goal. All right, I have to show up for all these people and in the process get my meditation in as well. So like you rightly said, you made this goal out publicly to everyone saying that I'm going to be doing this. In the same way, that's what I did. I said, I'm going to be showing up every morning for meditation. Here's the link. Whoever wants to join, come join. Let's meditate together. And over the year, created this beautiful community. So I think that's one of the habits that really stuck for me this year.
Ashton, that's beautiful. Thank you for joining us. And my biggest takeaway at least has been that I need to define eat healthier a little better. Even as I said that to you, I was like, all right, we've got to define it better. I was just going to say
the same thing. What does healthy mean?
Yeah. No, this isn't going to become an on-air question and answer session. I don't think I can answer that right here.
I think it's been a good masterclass on understanding your right intention, setting the goals and having a game plan, making them really easy. So this has been very, very helpful.
Yeah. And I think even finding ways to make people accountable. So Ashton, let's just come back to you with that question. All right, I think we've lost our connection with Ashton, but that was actually Ashton Doctor coaching us through as the habit coach, how to build your habits, what the science is behind it. Let's take you very quickly now to stories that are taking place from India and across the world. We're shifting focus with our apps. Take a look.
The government said that till October 14, 7.1 lakh approvals have been applied and 4.81 lakh approvals have been granted via the National Single Window System, including foreign direct investment approvals, petroleum-related services, hallmarking and startup registration. The national portal integrates the existing clearance systems of the various ministries and departments of the centre and the state governments.
Okay, and we're moving on from that change to an entirely different one with our next story. India's PLI schemes in a stride towards achieving self-reliance under the Atmanirbhar Bharat vision. India's PLI, that's Product Link Incentive Schemes, have emerged as a seemingly transformative force in enhancing the nation's manufacturing and export capabilities. With an outlay of 1.97 lakh crores, according to the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, the initiative that was launched in November back in 2020 covers 14 sectors and has already seemingly delivered on multiple milestones.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs has given its approval for the minimum support price for copra for 2025 season with a budget outlay of 855 crore. Information and Broadcasting Minister Ashwini Vaishnav said that the MSP for the milling copra has been increased from 420 to 11,582 per quintal, while the ball copra for 100 to 12,100 per quintal for 2025.
Union Minister Jitendra Singh said that India's biotech ecosystem has grown to nearly 9,000 startups from 50 back in 2014, with the bioeconomy witnessing huge growth in the last 10 years. He was addressing the FE Green Sarathi Summit, and the Science and Tech Minister said India's bioeconomy has seen remarkable growth, growing from 10 billion in 2014 to over 130 billion in the last 10 years. And he predicts it's likely to be at 300 billion by 2030, so in just about 5 years from now.
Uttar Pradesh has set new tourism records, attracting a remarkable 476.1 million tourists between January and September of 2024. According to a report by Money Control, at the forefront of the surge in Ayodhya, the spiritual heart of the country, which has surpassed Agra's Taj Mahal to become the state's most visited destination. Uttar Pradesh Tourism Department reported that Ayodhya has attracted a staggering 135.5 million domestic tourists and 3,153 international visitors during the period.
And with an increasing use of AI, artificial intelligence in legal work, we're learning that 36,000 Supreme Court judgments have been translated into Hindi, 42,000 verdicts have been translated into 17 regional languages. And on date, they've also been made available on the ESCR portal. The Minister of State and Law, in a written reply in Lok Sabha, said that AI translation committees of the High Court are monitoring the entire work related to translation of both Supreme Court and High Court judgments into vernacular languages.
An endangered hippo was born in Virginia Zoo. The female was born on 9th of December at the Metro Richmond Zoo in Virginia. It is parents Irish and Cowan's third calf in 4.5 years, and they are all females. Now, this is also the pair's second calf to arrive right before the holidays. The baby girl arrived after a 7-month gestation, and the mother gave birth in water.
And in many Spanish families, children receive presents from the three kings on Epiphany and Jan 6th rather than from Santa on Christmas Day. The night before, essentially, you have towns across Spain that celebrate with parades reenacting the Magi's journey to Bethlehem, when actors portraying the wise men are often accompanied by camels. You can actually see it on your screens. The animals are much loved part of the tradition. Children often leave carrots out for them in their homes, just as they do for Santa's reindeer.
Siberian tigers is the largest keeping and breeding base in northeast China's Shenzhen city, where frolicking in the snow after recent snowfall that transformed their homes into an absolute playground. Spectacular visuals over there. The recent temperature drops were a gift to over 100 Siberian tigers in the area. They have been taking advantage of the weather to play with snow on the ground and enjoy walks in the forest, with some even huddling together around trees to keep themselves warm. Isn't that lovely? Now, on that note, we're going to slip into a break. On the other side, we've got a special chat, like we said, with actor Shefali Shah. We want to understand what's the secret behind her unwavering confidence and what is she looking forward to in the coming year. That's in a moment from now.
Baba.
And tragic news coming in. What we are learning from top Congress leaders, including Robert Vadra as well as Salman Khurshid, is that former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh is no more. He passed away at the age of 92. He breathed his last at AIIMS in the national capital. Now what we are learning is that senior Congress leaders are rushing back to the national capital. Remember, they had their centenary celebrations in Belgavi, and top Congress leaders are rushing back to the national capitals. As per Salman Khurshid as well as Robert Vadra, former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, the man who helmed the two UPA regimes, is no more. He was admitted in the ICU in AIIMS after complaining of breathlessness. And now, as per Salman Khurshid as well as Robert Vadra, he has breathed his last and is no more at the age of 92. What we are also learning is that Union Health Minister JP Nadda is currently at AIIMS. Also, Wayanad MP Priyanka Gandhi Vadra is also at AIIMS. And also what we are learning is that Sonia Gandhi as well as Rahul Gandhi are rushing to AIIMS in the wake of this tragic news that's coming in from the national capital. Well, former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh is no more. I'm joined by my colleague Pallavi Ghosh on the broadcast. So Pallavi, sad news coming in. Salman Khurshid and Robert Vadra both have put out the information that Manmohan Singh has breathed his last at AIIMS in the national capital, and a tall figure of the UPA era of Indian politics now no more.
And the writer over here is that we are still waiting for the official word to come in, both from the party as well as from AIIMS. What we are being told is AIIMS is likely to issue a medical bulletin anytime now. We'll have to wait to see what are the developments in that. But yes, certainly the indications don't sound very good. The Congress has almost cancelled the rally, which was to be held in Belgavi tomorrow as a part of the CWC meeting. Rahul Gandhi, who was very much there, is also rushing back. That has been confirmed by his office. But apart from that, Sonia Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, Robert Vadra, all the Delhi Congress leaders who are here are all rushing to AIIMS. The family is also, of course, there. He was admitted earlier today. What we were told by his office was acute breathlessness in a very serious condition. All doctors looking upon him, and he was admitted to ICU. At 92, he has been very frail. He has not been keeping very good health. He had actually stepped away from public political life in 2024 when his term had ended in Rajya Sabha. He walked away into sunset. I remember the last pictures we saw of him was in 2022 inside Rajya Sabha itself when he had come to cast his vote for a presidential elections. You're absolutely right. While we await that official word to come in, it's been a long legacy that he has left behind. And if I can use the words which he said to us once at a press conference, that history is going to remember me kindly. There has been a lot of political controversies which has dogged his 10 years in power, especially in the last 2 to 3 years of UPA 2. But his contribution to the economy, his idea of liberalization, opening up the Indian economy, that is his biggest contribution as far as India's economic story is concerned. And in fact, the present Prime Minister would always admit that whatever rancor we may have displayed during the 2014 Lok Sabha elections, the fact is that his contribution to India's growth story has never been forgotten. Each time the Prime Minister went to take oath of office, he would always take a tour to Dr. Manmohan Singh's official residence on Motilal Nehru Marg and greet him and take his blessings. That's the kind of bonhomie we saw between the two of them. But talking about Dr. Manmohan Singh, the economist, but also the reluctant politician, his political term.
Welcome back. It's time for that chat that we've been looking forward to. We are now going to sit down with the phenomenal actor Shefali Shah. Now, her unforgettable role in Delhi Crime, which you must have seen, her award-winning turn in Jalsa, Shefali captivated audiences with her depth and authenticity.
Looking ahead, Shefali gives us a glimpse of her excitement for 2025, the growth that she's proud of this year, and the roles that she's most eager to explore in the future. We've also asked her some of her thoughts on sustainability, the creatives that she wants to work with, and we get to hear all about her admiration for one actor in particular. But we're not going to tell you yet. Let's get straight into it right here on the show. Shefali, thank you so much for joining us early in the morning right here on the show. Shefali, there's a post of yours that went viral recently on Instagram in which you talked about the fact that, after it being difficult to coordinate a family trip, you decided to go on a solo trip to Rishikesh for rafting. And it's a post that a lot of women really resonated with. So we wanted to ask you first, how was the trip? And also, any message to the women listening right now?
So one of them, it's quite liberating, and it's just freedom. You're not revolving around other people's time of, acha tumko abhi khana khana hai, should we go to the restaurant, what do you want to eat, etc., etc., or I want to do this, what is the activity you'd like to do. I was just on my own. I could do what I felt like doing. I practically did nothing for all those days except go rafting and sit by the river endlessly. And I think it was great, yeah. I just wasn't waiting anymore, which was really good, yeah. And for the women, it's not, I've been thinking about this a lot recently, where people ask me, what is it that you'd want to tell women? What is it that you'd want to tell girls? We have a lot of dreams and we have a lot of thoughts and imagination when you're growing up. And we start eradicating it as you deal with reality, one by one by one. It's like, oh, air hostess to main ban nahi sakti ab. Oh, I can't climb the Mount Everest. But I think you should keep that as a bucket list. You never know what you will be able to do at what point of time. And why not do it? Because you will reach a point of time when everyone around you is busy. And fair enough. I mean, they have their own lives. So either you keep waiting and then feeling miserable about it, or say, you know what, I can do this. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an out-of-town trip. It could be for 2 hours, just go watch a film and come back. Or just go to one of the bookstores, sit there, have a coffee, read a book. So I think that little time out for yourself is very important. Because if you keep depending on others, it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, we were just talking about it, and you're right, never say never. But Shefali, let's shift to your acting for a while. The last year, couple of years, in fact, has seen you in very confident roles, in very powerful roles, if I can call it that. Delhi Crime, just one of them, really. Is there a trend to it? Are you on purpose choosing these characters? And then also, viewers would love to know the secret to your confidence that really oozes out of these roles.
I think, it's confidence, yes, but there is also this particular thing that comes with age is, I don't care what people think. Which I don't know if it's good or bad, but the way to look at it is that you spend such a big part of your life just fitting into people's image, or what will they like me, will this work for someone, etc., that it's quite nice to feel that, I don't want to do this anymore just because somebody else wants me. As far as strong roles are concerned, maybe subconsciously it was a choice, because consciously it wasn't. I pick a role because the character, the story, the writing of it, the director, the nuances of a character, all of this excites me. So it's not, I'll only pick a role where there is a strong woman. For example, I just did a film, I did a film called Three of Us.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Shailaja, who's an extremely vulnerable, fragile woman. So it's, doesn't mean she doesn't have her own kind of silent strength. And honestly, I feel that there is a lot of strength in vulnerability. There's a lot of strength. So, if you're saying, is this a conscious question, a conscious choice of doing roles which present me as a strong woman? I haven't thought of it that way.
Shefali, this is a question we're discussing a lot on the show today. Growth that you've made this year that you're proud of. Any change you saw yourself make that you really are proud of?
Not because it's just happened, but honestly, this trip was a big one for me. I think it is my first step on a solo trip, on taking a solo trip. And my New Year resolution, in fact, is going to be that I'm going to travel a lot. If my family, my friends can join me, great. But if they can't, I'm still going to do it. I should have done that all along, but I didn't. And it doesn't mean that I'm shying away from my responsibilities or anything, but it just means that I love traveling. If nobody can make the time or they don't have the inclination towards it, fair enough. I mean, I completely comprehend and understand. That is one of the things. The second is, I guess, I don't know, but I don't know whether that's a right or a good choice or a good thought, but I am becoming more and more impatient towards incompetency. We handle everyone with kid gloves. And there is a difference between respect and handling somebody with kid gloves. When somebody is working with me, and if they're doing something wrong, I will explain it once, twice, thrice. But then you're obviously not putting in your mind, and this is what you want. This is your choice. You made this choice. There are so many people putting in their hard work, love and sweat into this. So you bloody well do it right. You don't have a reason to not do it right. Even if I'm saying, even if you don't love the work, this is what is paying you, right? I have to be honest to what I do.
Yeah. Shefali, you sound like a woman who's really coming into her own in the coming year, which brings you to the question of what is it that you're looking forward to in 2025? Are there some roles on the cards, some series, some movies that you want to share with us?
So honestly, there are 2-3 scripts that I've read, which I've said I want to do. It's going to take time to put it all together, of course. The director and producers and whatever. It takes time for a film. So I'm hoping that probably the first semester, we should start something. But there's some really interesting, fun scripts that I have. I finished Delhi Crime this month. In January. I finally wrap it. Hisab will be ready to release at some point. I don't know when they're planning to release it, but that was great fun. Making that movie was a lot of fun. And but I wish I could talk about this because abhi tak I don't even know when we are going to be. I just know that there's a script I loved and it is totally crazy and love the character, but I don't know how long it's going to take for it to actually go on floor. They're still trying to figure the other stuff attached to it.
Shefali, can we talk about one more thing that's trending right now? So shifting topics a little bit, your Abraham and Thakur outfit, it was a outfit with garbage bags, different CDs made, woven inside it, quite a cool outfit. But sustainability, is it something that you're genuinely passionate about?
I'm surprised it's come in vogue. It's ridiculous to even say that. Our mothers and grandmothers have always done sustainability. कल का चावल है, आज उसका मसाला चावल बनता ही है. अगर काफ्तान फट गया, काट के you make a midi, a mini, a top, and then finally a pocha. There's been the whole culture of hand-me-down. Yeah. These are things that have been in our. It's just been there in our lives. I don't know why we've woken up to it today. So it's like, I don't remember ever throwing a cloth bag away because I know I will make use of it. And forget that. Recently, my sister's birthday was there. I gave her a gift basket, okay, with lots of stuff. I bought the decoration bag because I will be doing it for somebody else. Rather than going and buying those stupid plastic flowers which came on somebody's Diwali basket to me, I'll put it on somebody else's, which will make it look pretty, but I will use it. So I don't think this is a new thing that we look. This is not new. We just do it. For example, when our diary, we have the numbered अभी आएगा, there'll be all these 2025 diaries. 2024 diaries में कितने सारे pages हैं जो खाली पड़े हुए हैं. You use it for your घर का हिसाब. It's not rocket science. You put a punch, you tie it up, and then you use those pages to, write your lists and stuff. So this is just, it has to be a way of life. There's really nothing. Honestly, I'm surprised why this has been even made into a, oh my God, we are doing this. We are not doing this. I mean, dude, this is what you should have always done.
Yeah. I love how passionate you sound about sustainability. But Shefali, you've also had quite a year, from Filmfare Awards to so many hits. But talk to us a little bit, it's that time of the year, right? About bucket list creatives that you want to work with in the coming year. Some people, some roles, some characters, some individuals that you want to really be part of.
So there are a lot of people. I mean, there's Alfonso Cuarón. I don't know how to pronounce it again.
Okay?
Yeah.
He, I first came to know about him when he directed Harry Potter, and he's done much, much better work since.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Shefali, we could ask you almost what was on your bucket list still, because we talked about the idea of bucket list earlier. I don't just mean in the next year. I mean, in the years coming forward, who are the creatives, actors, directors, designers that you hope to work with? Who would you say are there on that list?
There would be Alfonso Cuarón, Phoebe Waller. If I would love to do something that she'd write. There is Fahad Fasil that I'd love to work with. Rajamouli sir. Avinash again. We did 3 of us, but I want to work with him again. David Kelly. He makes some amazing shows and films. I think he's got a spectacular array of work that he's created. He's a producer and writer. And there's so many more. I mean, I would want to work with Benedict Cumberbatch, and I want to obviously just stand in the background holding a glass of water for Meryl Streep. I would happily do it. Or Kate Blanchett. Oh my God, I would want to be on that set just to watch them. If I could just stand there and watch these people, it would be like, it's, I mean, there's so many, and there's so many even in our country.
Amazing. Shefali, thank you for sharing just that list of creatives with us that you'd love to work with. It's so lovely to hear, right from directors to actors across the world. We hope that you get to see some of these names sort of crossed off your bucket list in the next year, of course, with a lot of travel. From our side, though, right now, we'd just like to wish you a happy New Year, Shefali.
Hi, everyone, and every single one of you who's watching The Breakfast Club, and even if you're not watching The Breakfast Club, a very, very, very happy New Year to all of you with the healthy juice and a sinful pancake and a lot of maple syrup and a lot of butter.
All right, indulgence is the name of the game. Thank you so much, Shefali, for joining us. That was something, huh?
That was so lovely. All right, we're going to head into a quick break. On the other side, we are not done bringing stories that are taking place across the country. In fact, we'll be touching on a story that's really left all of us shocked. Something that took place late last evening, the passing away of the former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, someone loved for how gentle, how kind, how erudite he was in every speech he gave. We'll be touching on it in just a few minutes, in and after this short break.
And tragic news coming in. What we are learning from top Congress leaders, including Robert Vadra as well as Salman Khurshid, is that former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh is no more. He passed away at the age of 92. He breathed his last at AIIMS in the national capital. Now what we are learning is that senior Congress leaders are rushing back to the national capital. Remember, they had their centenary celebrations in Belgavi, and top Congress leaders are rushing back to the national capitals. As per Salman Khurshid as well as Robert Vadra, former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, the man who helmed the two UPA regimes is no more. He was admitted in the ICU in AIIMS after complaining of breathlessness. And now, as per Salman Khurshid as well as Robert Vadra, he has breathed his last and is no more at the age of 92. What we are also learning is that Union Health Minister, JP Nadda, is currently at AIIMS. Also, Wayanad MP Priyanka Gandhi Vadra is also at AIIMS. And also what we are learning is that Sonia Gandhi as well as Rahul Gandhi are rushing to AIIMS in the wake of this tragic news that's coming in from the national capital, where former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh is no more. I'm joined by my colleague Pallavi Ghosh on the broadcast. So Pallavi, sad news coming in. Salman Khurshid and Robert Vadra both have put out the information that Manmohan Singh has breathed his last at AIIMS in the national capital, and a tall figure of the UPA era of Indian politics now no more.
And the writer over here is that we are still waiting for the official word to come in, both from the party as well as from AIIMS. What we are being told is AIIMS is likely to issue a medical bulletin anytime now. We'll have to wait to see what are the developments in that. But yes, certainly the indications don't sound very good. The Congress has almost cancelled the rally, which was to be held in Belgavi tomorrow as a part of the CWC meeting. Rahul Gandhi, who was very much there, is also rushing back. That has been confirmed by his office. But apart from that, Sonia Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, Robert Vadra, all the Delhi Congress leaders who are here are all rushing to AIIMS. The family is also, of course, there. He was admitted earlier today. What we were told by his office was acute breathlessness in a very serious condition. All doctors looking upon him, and he was admitted to ICU. At 92, he has been very frail. He has not been keeping very good health. He had actually stepped away from public political life in 2024 when his term had ended in Rajya Sabha. He walked away into sunset. I remember the last pictures we saw of him was in 2022 inside Rajya Sabha itself when he had come to cast his vote for a presidential elections. You're absolutely right. While we await that official word to come in, it's been a long legacy that he has left behind. And if I can use the words which he said to us once at a press conference, that history is going to remember me kindly. There has been a lot of political controversies which has dogged his 10 years in power, especially in the last 2 to 3 years of UPA 2. But his contribution to the economy, his idea of liberalization, opening up the Indian economy, that is his biggest contribution as far as India's economic story is concerned. And in fact, the present Prime Minister would always admit that whatever rancor we may have displayed during the 2014 Lok Sabha elections, the fact is that his contribution to India's growth story has never been forgotten. Each time the Prime Minister went to take oath of office, he would always take a tour to Dr. Manmohan Singh's official residence on Motilal Nehru Marg and greet him and take his blessings. That's the kind of bonhomie we saw between the two of them. But talking about Dr. Manmohan Singh, the economist, but also the reluctant politician, his political term also, Ayushman, will be remembered for a lot of achievements. I mean, the Indo-US nuclear deal, he was so sure that it's going to solve India's energy problems that he was ready to stake his government. We know, for example, how left walked out and then the Samajwadi Party bailed him out, and the rest is history. He also was known for Aadhaar and
India's woken up to a tragic morning. Former Prime Minister and senior Congress leader Dr. Manmohan Singh passed away on Thursday night following prolonged illness. He was 92 years old. Now, according to a statement that is coming from AIIMS, he was being treated for age-related medical conditions and had sudden loss of consciousness at his home late last night.
He's most well known for carrying out economic reforms in 1991 when he was the Union Finance Minister. These, of course, included liberalization of the Indian economy and for leading the country through 2 terms as the Prime Minister. We're going to go over to our colleague Pallavi Ghosh, who's been covering this story since late last night. She's joining us live from AICC, the Congress headquarters, this morning. Pallavi, thank you for joining us. Pallavi, if we could ask you first a little bit about what is planned for the rest of the day today, tomorrow. We know that some of the former Prime Minister's relatives don't live in India. Are we waiting for them to return? Just bring us all the details.
One daughter, Amrit Singh, she's also a lawyer. She works at the Stanford Law University. She's there and we have been told that she's rushing back. So essentially it's going to be a family's call and that call has been taken. What we are being told from Dr. Manmohan Singh's office is that the funeral is going to take place tomorrow. At the Congress headquarters, it's somber. On any other day, if it had not been an occasion like what it is today, the Congress party really would have been en masse at the CWC meetings in Belagavi in Karnataka, and 28th is when the Congress Foundation Day takes place. All these schedules have been cancelled. The Congress party has declared a mourning of 7 days, so all the official functions, events have been cancelled. Pretty much similar to what the government has done. At 11 a.m. you're going to see the cabinet meeting take place. There's going to be no official function, flags flying at half-mast, and the country is in a state of mourning. As I said, his daughter, one of the daughters lives abroad. She's going to be rushing back. His wife, of course, is very much here. She was there at the hospital also late last night when he breathed his last. And there has been a flurry of activity within the Congress party. Sonia Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra were right with him since the beginning. Once the news broke at around 9:30 p.m. that he was being rushed in a very critical state to AIIMS, Rahul Gandhi and Mr. Kharge flew down late last night. At around 2:17 a.m. is when they went to his residence, which is not too far away from here, to offer their Shraddhanjali.
Right. Pallavi, take us through what happens next from here. Where can people go to pay their respects and what is going to be the schedule for the funeral?
Frankly speaking, I think we're going to get some more clarity only post the cabinet meeting, because that is where the entire itinerary will be chalked out. It's going to be a state honour, it's a state funeral, so a lot of decisions and planning to the last minute details are taken by the government along with the wishes, of course, of the family first. But what we are getting sketchy information is that, of course, the Prime Minister, other dignitaries are going to pay their tributes at his residence at Motilal Nehru Road. The party leaders are going to also start pouring in a bit from now. And, of course, there's a desire which the Congress party has expressed that when that funeral takes place, on the way to the funeral at least, his mortal remains should be kept here at the party headquarters so that the party workers and those who are unable to go to his residence can offer their tribute to him. And also a mark of the fact that Dr. Manmohan Singh, in those 10 years when he was the Prime Minister, also added a lot of prestige and stature to the Congress party as well.
Pallavi, could we ask you to talk on exactly that? We just have a few minutes left and we'd love if you could leave our audiences with a few words on what you observe to be the impact of the former Prime Minister in the 2 terms as he led the country.
Well, I remember in 2004, it was right over here when the decision was taken that it's going to be him who's going to be the Prime Minister, and that's when the UPA was formed. He was as surprised as most of us were when, we thought someone else could have been made the Prime Minister. He's the last person, but anyone would have thought he would be chosen as the PM, despite the fact that the credentials are very strong. But he was always looked upon as an economist, a finance minister, then RBI governor, chief economic advisor. That is what his credentials were all about. But clearly Sonia Gandhi thought that there is much more to him which he can offer to the country. And those 10 years, and to use his words, history is going to look at him kindly. The mark of a man is proved by the kind of tributes he gets. It's not just restricted to his party or the allies who he worked with. It's cutting across party lines. We've been listening to all those tributes since late last night. Petroleum Minister Hardeep Singh Puri, all of them in glowing terms, and all of them have a story or anecdote to retain. Apart from the economics of it all, he's considered to be the father of liberalization. When P.V. Narasimha Rao was the Prime Minister, opening up of the Indian economy, that's been his hallmark. But even when he was the Prime Minister, everyone knows the 2008 Indo-US nuclear deal. It actually ended India's nuclear isolation. That is one biggest achievements for him. And of course, apart from that, Manrega, Food Security Act, these and his diplomatic overtures, reaching out to America, Europe on the Pakistan issue, Bangladesh, of course, cementing our relationship with Bangladesh when Sheikh Hasina became the Prime Minister. These are the very important contributions which he's going to put forward on the pages of history, Indian as well as global.
Right, we've seen those tributes pour in from international leaders too in the last few hours. Pallavi, thank you for bringing us this context. Pallavi continues to report this story from outside the AICC through the rest of the day today.
And I think one thing that Dr. Manmohan Singh will be remembered most for, not just what he did politically, but for just kind of kind person
Right,
he
human he
was. And even the shairi that everybody got a glimpse of, even in Parliament, from this very quiet, unassuming politician. Our tributes here on The Breakfast Club to Dr. Manmohan Singh and his family as well. The coverage will, of course, continue on the channel. Thanks so much for watching.
Goodbye.
And tragic news coming in. What we are learning from top Congress leaders, including Robert Vadra as well as Salman Khurshid, is that former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh is no more. He passed away at the age of 92. He breathed his last at AIIMS in the national capital. Now what we are learning is that senior Congress leaders are rushing back to the national capital. Remember, they had their centenary celebrations in Belgavi, and top Congress leaders are rushing back to the national capitals. As per Salman Khurshid as well as Robert Vadra, former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, the man who helmed the two UPA regimes, is no more. He was admitted in the ICU in AIIMS after complaining of breathlessness. And now, as per Salman Khurshid as well as Robert Vadra, he has breathed his last and is no more at the age of 92. What we are also learning is that Union Health Minister JP Nadda is currently at AIIMS. Also, Wayanad MP Priyanka Gandhi Vadra is also at AIIMS. And also what we are learning is that Sonia Gandhi as well as Rahul Gandhi are rushing to AIIMS in the wake of this tragic news that's coming in from the national capital. Well, former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh is no more. I'm joined by my colleague Pallavi Ghosh on the broadcast. So Pallavi, sad news coming in. Salman Khurshid and Robert Vadra both have put out the information that Manmohan Singh has breathed his last at AIIMS in the national capital, and a tall figure of the UPA era of Indian politics now no more.
And the writer over here is that we are still waiting for the official word to come in, both from the party as well as from AIIMS. What we are being told is AIIMS is likely to issue a medical bulletin anytime now. We'll have to wait to see what are the developments in that. But yes, certainly the indications don't sound very good. The Congress has almost cancelled the rally, which was to be held in Belgavi tomorrow as a part of the CWC meeting. Rahul Gandhi, who was very much there, is also rushing back. That has been confirmed by his office. But apart from that, Sonia Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, Robert Vadra, all the Delhi Congress leaders who are here are all rushing to AIIMS. The family is also, of course, there. He was admitted earlier today. What we were told by his office was acute breathlessness in a very serious condition. All doctors looking upon him, and he was admitted to ICU. At 92, he has been very frail. He has not been keeping very good health. He had actually stepped away from public political life in 2024 when his term had ended in Rajya Sabha. He walked away into sunset. I remember the last pictures we saw of him was in 2022 inside Rajya Sabha itself when he had come to cast his vote for a presidential elections. You're absolutely right. While we await that official word to come in, it's been a long legacy that he has left behind. And if I can use the words which he said to us once at a press conference that history is going to remember me kindly. There has been a lot of political controversies which has dogged his 10 years in power, especially in the last 2 to 3 years of UPA 2. But his contribution to the economy, his idea of liberalization, opening up the Indian economy, that is his biggest contribution as far as India's economic story is concerned. And in fact, the present Prime Minister would always admit.
Good morning. It's a somber day today after the late night passing away of India's former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. He was 92. The mood in Delhi captures the mood within the Congress party as well as within the government as well. Dr. Manmohan Singh's mortal remains were moved from AIIMS to his official residence at Motilal Nehru Road. One of the earliest ones to pay the Shraddhanjali to him were Rahul Gandhi, the LOP, as well as the Congress President, Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge, who dashed down from Karnataka to offer their tributes to him. He's survived by his wife Gusharan Kaur and 3 daughters. In fact, one of his daughters, Amrit Singh, who is a lawyer at the Stanford Law University, is rushing back, and it's only after that a decision will be finally taken on what exactly is going to be the minute-by-minute itinerary as far as his funeral rites are concerned. So that is going to be the top focus through the day. There have been tributes which have been pouring in from India, from abroad as well, from cutting across party lines, and all of them have one thing to say: there's never going to be another one like him again. Okay, the first word coming in, and this is from Dr. Manmohan Singh's official residence and his office. It's now confirmed that the funeral is going to be taking place tomorrow. The family is waiting for the return of one of his daughters who works in America. She's going to be returning. The rest of the relatives are also over here, but many of them are pouring in. Party leaders also pouring in. At 11 a.m., the government is going to be doing a cabinet meeting, and that is where they are going to pass an official resolution paying their tributes to the former Prime Minister. But getting us details of the funeral and the last rites is my colleague Arunima. Arunima, good morning. First of all, the official notification of the state mourning is already out. Can you run us through the details, and what information do we really have about his last rites?
Right. Morning, Pallavi. Yes, I'm coming to you live from Dr. Manmohan Singh's official residence. All the top dignitaries are expected here shortly. And it's raining very heavily, but I'll still try and show you. Narendra, if you can just show them around a bit. There's heavy police bandobast here, heavy deployment. The route has been fixed. In about half an hour from now, Union Home Minister Amit Shah is expected, and then shortly after that, Prime Minister is also expected to come and pay his last tribute. And therefore, the police men and women on duty here, even in the pouring rain, are ensuring that the routes are sanitized. Full media bandobast, and you're absolutely right. The government of India has already declared a 2-day mourning, which means that no official function will happen in these 2 days. The national flag will fly at half-mast at all top national iconic places. For example, the Parliament House, the Rashtrapati Bhavan, the North Block. And in this 2-day mourning, the country will pay homage to perhaps one of those prime ministers who made history in its own rights. The first Sikh prime minister to take that chair, the one who ensured that the nuclear deal came through. And also, before he became the prime minister, he was a man who made his mark in history as the finance minister of the country. So I think government of the day recognizes his contribution to nation building and has already declared a 2-day homage. The top leadership coming here shortly to pay their last tribute.
And about the funeral, I mean, this is something which we were also told by his office, is that it's going to take place tomorrow. Any clarity on what are really the kind of arrangements that are made as far as a state funeral is concerned?
So let me take you back a few years. Again, it was the 25th of December when we lost another Prime Minister, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, another Prime Minister who was loved by the countrymen, and the countrymen were pouring, because they were quite They were quite upset with that loss, even though he had been ailing for some time. Okay, Pallavi, just give me a second. The policemen here are ensuring that the route is sanitized. So I'll just take a step forward. Yes, coming back to telling you the protocol that happens when a Prime Minister of India passes away. There will be a cabinet meeting, like you just told our viewers, and in that a resolution is possibly going to get the cabinet's nod about the former Prime Minister.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt you here. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt you here. I'm just going to go across to Mr. Manish Tiwari. Manish, thank you very much for speaking to CNN News 18 this morning. I remember you were very much beside him as an INB minister when he made that famous comment that history is going to look at me kindly. Can you just share with our viewers how is it that history is going to remember him?
Well, Dr. Manmohan Singh was a colossus, and he showed both the economic and the governance firmament like an absolute intellectual giant. Suave, affable, soft-spoken, but very firm. He was a person who was an inspiration, especially for millions and millions of young people who got opportunities as a consequence of his economic liberalization in 1991. And so therefore, Dr. Manmohan Singh's loss obviously is a great loss to this nation. May his soul rest in peace. Hello.
And also Manish, just to, and also Manish, as an INB minister, you also had to kind of put forward the government's, Manish, as an INB minister, you also had to put forward, the point of view of the government. It was also one of those testing and trying times, I would say. But if you could share with us some of the anecdotes, what is it that Dr. Manmohan Singh used to tell you? What was the advice he would give it to you as the Prime Minister, and the fact that you were very much a part of his cabinet as well?
Well, when I became Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Dr. Manmohan Singh was being subjected to a costly and unfair tirade by the collective press. And I recall we were flying to Ludhiana, which was my erstwhile parliamentary constituency, for the convocation of the party. So on the plane I asked him that what should be our approach towards the media. And he gave me a one-line answer. He says our approach should be an essay in persuasion and not an essay in coercion. So therefore, even at a point in time when he felt, and rightly so, that he was being very, very unfairly treated, he still had the magnanimity, he still had the grace, he still had the fortitude that the instrumentalities of the state would not be used to browbeat the fourth estate. So that was Dr. Manmohan Singh, absolutely a gentleman to the core.
And you would never find him ruffled by all those kind of allegations against him. This perhaps is not the right time to talk about it. But the Indo-US nuclear deal was something, his heart was very much in it. He was 100% convinced that this is important for the country. But he faced resentment from within. Do you have any idea how he would talk about it? How did he decide to tackle him? And what convinced him that this is the deal which we need to go for?
Well, Dr. Manmohan Singh, earlier in his career, had served as the economic advisor of the Department of Atomic Energy and Space. I think this was in the late 70s. And possibly it became a cardinal of fate with him that the nuclear apartheid India was being subjected to, which was holding back our potential to be able to even access nuclear power, which was essential for India's economic growth, was a severe handicap. And so therefore, in India's larger interest, he even staked his own government on the Indo-US nuclear deal. It's unfortunate that subsequently it did not come to fruition because, of a very obtuse liability clause in the insurance law. and the Nuclear Liability Act. But Dr. Manmohan Singh, I believe, was convinced that India must have access to as much of power as it could through whatever means, hydrocarbons, intermediates, renewables, because energy is what drives economic growth.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mashish Tiwari, for speaking to CNN News 18, and our condolences to you. So there are many nuggets of anecdotes which we have been getting in since late last night, and the common thread in all of that has been one simple fact: low profile, not ruffled, despite the fact that there were a lot of controversies dogging his government, especially as far as UP2A is concerned. Arunima continues to remain with us. She's reporting live from outside Dr. Manmohan Singh's residence, which is at Motilal Nehru Road. Arunima, just to explain to our viewers, what really is the protocol in place once you decide to go in for a state funeral? Once the government announces the state funeral, what is the protocol in place?
Yes, again, I'll take, like I was telling you, I'll take you back a few years when we lost another former Prime Minister, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, that gives you a sense as to what is really the protocol that is followed. So once a state funeral that resolution is agreed to by the Union Cabinet, the last remains of the former Prime Minister, there's a chance given to the common public to come and pay their last respect to the former Prime Minister. Because he was from the Congress party, there is a good chance that he could, his last remains, instead of his residence behind me, could be taken to the AICC headquarters. And I do not want to talk about politics here, Pallavi, but I have to remind the viewers that one thing which has always haunted the Congress was how they treated, PV Narasimha Rao. Prime Minister Modi keeps referring to that. So I think Congress party will ensure that this time around, all that is due to a former Prime Minister from their party, Dr. Manmohan Singh, is done by them also. So if the mortal remains are taken to the AICC headquarters, post that when the final journey begins, and both you and Payal have been getting us nuggets of information on that, Rajghat is where we have seen all the former Prime Ministers being laid to rest there. That's the area where the cremation happens. So from the AICC headquarters, in a carriage which will be having military escort, which will be given the last salute by our men in uniform. From there it will move towards the cremation ghat in Rajghat, where the religious ceremonies, the family will be given a chance to carry out the religious ceremonies. But again, before the pyre is lit, before the mortal remains are finally laid to rest, there will be a full salute given by our tri-services. If a state funeral is ultimately what the cabinet approves, that's the process that is usually followed. The sense that we are getting is that perhaps the day today will be given to people who want to pay their respect, and the mortal remains will be laid to rest tomorrow.
Yeah, but we can confirm this much that he is, mortal remains will be brought at the Congress headquarters where I'm standing at this point of time. Through the day today, of course, you're going to see there's multiple tributes being offered. Most of the Congress top leaders were in Karnataka and all of them are rushing back. Arunima continues to stay with us. Arunima, we're just going to be coming back. News continues over here on CNN News 18.
And tragic news coming in. What we are learning from top Congress leaders, including Robert Vadra as well as Salman Khurshid, is that former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh is no more. He passed away at the age of 92. He breathed his last at AIIMS in the national capital. Now what we are learning is that senior Congress leaders are rushing back to the national capital. Remember, they had their centenary celebrations in Belgavi, and top Congress leaders are rushing back to the national capitals. As per Salman Khurshid as well as Robert Vadra, former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, the man who helmed